Welcome back to Fireplace Conversations, where African stories ignite global impact. I'm your host, Dr. Ikechukwu Okoh, and today's episode is titled The Power of Showing Up. This is not just about being present, it's about the quiet strength of consistency. It takes sacred courage to choose to rise again and again when no one is clapping, when the results aren't instant, and when life whispers, "Stay down," and you respond, "Not yet." Whether you're an entrepreneur, a healthcare worker, a student, a parent, or a dreamer with nothing but a mustard seed of faith, this episode serves as your reminder. Greatness doesn't arrive, it's built. Today, we will delve into stories of African resilience, global case studies, moments from my journey, and a powerful challenge for you. So pull close to the fire. Let's discuss what it truly means to show up. I want to take you to a small village outside Abavo, my hometown. Every morning, just before dawn, an old man named Okolo would walk from his compound to the village square. He wasn't a chief nor a priest, and he had no formal title. But for 35 years, he swept the square. Rain or Hamatan celebration or mourning, he was there. When asked why he did it, he would say, "This place raised me. Keeping it clean is how I say thank you." No one paid him. No one asked him to do it. Many didn't even notice until he stopped. One rainy season, Okolo fell ill and could not come. By the third day, the square was covered in mud, palm waste, and debris from the market. Suddenly, the people noticed the gap. They realized that they had built festivals and weddings on the foundation of one man's consistency. When he recovered, the village chief invited him to the palace and honored him with a stool of recognition, not because he shouted, but because he quietly showed up and changed everything. This is where our discussion begins. You may feel unnoticed or uncelebrated, but I ask you, what are you sweeping every morning? That thing, the work no one sees, is often the foundation for someone else's success. Don't stop. Let's build from this story to explore what it means to show up for yourself, for others, and the future. Let me share a truth that many leaders don't admit. The hardest part of showing up is doing it without applause. There's a loneliness that comes with consistency, especially in the early days, when your post gets 3 likes, when your product sells nothing, or when your shift begins at 5 a.m. and no one else recognizes the sacrifices you make. I recall my MBA experience juggling night shifts at the hospital with morning lectures on financial systems. No one knew about my struggle, no one applauded my efforts, and yet I still showed up. Showing up is not just about physical presence, it's a declaration of purpose. It's saying, I am still here, I still believe in this, even when you don't feel strong and the results haven't arrived yet. Consider the founder who pitches to 30 investors and hears 30 rejections. Please think of the mother preparing meals without anyone thanking her. Picture the teacher grading papers late into the night. All of these individuals are showing up, and that is the seed of a breakthrough. If you feel invisible, hear me clearly. Consistency is often unnoticed until it becomes unforgettable. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Social media rewards virality, startups glorify exponential growth, and influencers celebrate those blow-up moments. However, here's the truth. Overnight success is a myth. Every so-called overnight success took 5, 10, or even 15 years of hard work, built through quiet, ordinary, faithful moments that no one filmed. Let's look at a few examples. 1. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Before her books like Half of a Yellow Sun and Americana, she faced years of rejection letters and wrote short stories that only a handful of peers read. She didn't arrive with a bestseller, she showed up to hone her craft every day. 2. Burna Boy. Now a global icon, Burna Boy released his debut album Life in 2013, but didn't win a Grammy until 2021. That's 8 years of consistent hustle, touring, refining his music, and pushing boundaries. 3. Trevor Noah. He didn't simply become the host of The Daily Show overnight. He spent years performing stand-up comedy in small clubs in South Africa, building his voice, audience, and point of view. The pattern is clear. They all showed up long before they were in the spotlight. So, if you are waiting for proof before you persist, let this be your reminder. You don't need applause to validate your journey. You need rhythm and resolve. You need to fall in love with the sometimes tedious, unglamorous discipline of consistency. That's where fundamental transformation occurs. In many African communities, survival itself is an act of resistance. To show up despite overwhelming odds is to declare, I will not shrink. I will not bow to despair. I refuse to let my absence be more recognized than my presence. Consider these powerful examples. 1. The market woman who rebuilds after a fire. Following a massive fire at Onitsha Market in 2019, a woman named Neka returned the very next day, not with products to sell, but with a broom. When asked why, she said, "If I can sweep it, I can start again." This embodies the resilience of presence. 2. Students in northern Nigeria taking exams. Amid insecurity, despite threats of attacks and kidnapping, students in regions like Zamfara and Borno continue to sit for WAEC and NICO exams. Showing up to learn and envision a better future is an act of rebellion against chaos. 3. African creators who post despite algorithm challenges. Despite poor internet access, algorithm bias, and limited reach, thousands of African creators share their voices every day. They resist erasure by declaring, "I exist, I have something to say." When you show up in a world that hopes you won't, you plant seeds of hope for others. In doing so, you don't just resist, you rebuild. Let's explore what happens in the mind and body when we commit to showing up, especially when it's difficult. 3 psychological principles explain why showing up is powerful even when we don't feel ready. 1. The Zeigarnik effect. Named after psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, this principle states that people remember incomplete tasks more than completed ones. It's why the book you started writing but never finished keeps tugging at your mind. It's also why the gym you signed up for but stopped attending makes you feel uneasy. When you show up, even for just 10 minutes, you reduce the mental anxiety caused by incompleteness. Showing up is a way of saying, I'm keeping a promise to myself. Your brain rewards that with small doses of dopamine, the feel-good hormone that fuels momentum. 2. The confidence-competence loop. Many people believe they need confidence before they act. However, neuroscience shows the opposite is true. You act first, you feel fear, you survive it. Then your brain thinks, oh, maybe I can do this. This creates confidence, which leads to more action, builds competence, and ultimately loops back into more confidence. So when you show up, trembling, imperfect, and unsure, you are not failing. You are rehearsing success. 3. Identity-based habits. In his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear states, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Showing up is not about outcomes, it's about identity. Each time you write, even if no one reads it, each time you parent with patience, even if your child resists, each time you pray, even when the heavens seem silent, you're casting a vote for who you are becoming. I am a leader. I am a writer. I am a builder. I am resilient. Please don't show up because it's glamorous. Show up because it rewires your brain to believe in you. If you don't believe in your future, who will? Sometimes we think our presence doesn't matter because it doesn't always produce immediate visible results. But what if the impact lies not in what is seen, but in what is stirred? Let me share some powerful illustrations. 1. The student who needed a smile. A young girl in secondary school in Ibadan shared that a teacher's smile every morning was the only reason she didn't drop out. She later became a doctor and returned to thank the teacher. The teacher didn't remember the daily smiles, but they saved a life. You may never know what your presence is holding together. 2. The church usher who saved a life. In Port Harcourt, a man once walked into a church intending to end his life after the service, but the usher greeted him by name. That simple act broke through his despair. He went home, threw away the pills, and rebuilt his life. When we show up with love, we do not just fill space, we create safe spaces. 3. The health worker in a forgotten community. I once volunteered for a rural medical outreach in Delta State. There was one nurse who consistently showed up every week, even when funding dried up. She said, if I stop, they'll think the world has forgotten them. Her dedication kept hope alive. Her presence was proof of dignity. Showing up sends powerful signals. You are not alone. This matters. I care. Do not underestimate the silent power of presence. Sometimes just showing up is a miracle. Let's be honest, there are days when showing up feels impossible. When the weight of everything is too much and it feels like you've prayed, worked and sacrificed, yet nothing changes. I've seen it. During his early years practicing in Nigeria, a friend of mine worked in a remote clinic with minimal supplies, treating patients with little more than paracetamol and hope. One day, he nearly walked away. A child died from a preventable illness because they had no oxygen. He sat in his office feeling defeated, thinking, "What's the point? What am I even doing here?" But then a grandmother entered, holding her grandson. She didn't beg. She said, "We came because we heard you are still here." That broke him. Sometimes just being there still gives others a reason to try again. So what do you do when you want to quit? 1. Remember why you started. Revisit your vision. Why did you begin? What was the fire in your belly? Write it down, speak it aloud, and rekindle it. 2. Shrink the goal, but not the commitment. If writing 10 pages feels overwhelming, start with 1. If an hour seems too long, commit to just 5 minutes. Consistency is not about volume, it's about rhythm. 3. Ask for help. You are not meant to carry everything alone. Reach out to a mentor, text a friend, and share your truth. Sometimes your breakthrough is on the other side of a shared burden. 4. Celebrate micro wins. Did you show up today? That's a win. Did you try again? That's a win. Did you breathe through the anxiety? That's a win. Affirm yourself. The journey matters. 5. Allow yourself grace. Remember, you're not a machine. Some days will be challenging. That doesn't mean you're off course. Rest if you need to, but don't quit. And if you've already quit something meaningful, there's good news. You can begin again. Showing up after quitting is a powerful act of courage. Let's reflect on the lives of people who didn't just show up once. They showed up again after every fall, delay, and disappointment. 1. Nelson Mandela. Imprisoned for 27 years, Mandela was released at age 71 and became president of South Africa. He said, "I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying." Mandela didn't just show up once. He kept showing up with dignity, forgiveness, and vision. 2. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Multiple publishers rejected her first novel, yet today she is one of the most acclaimed African writers globally. She continued to write, read her work aloud in small book clubs, and show up on paper even when no one was listening. 3. Strive Masiyiwa. The Zimbabwean billionaire and founder of Econet faced 5 years of legal battles before launching his telecom company. He once said, "Courage is not the absence of fear. It is refusing to let fear stop you." His success was not overnight. It was built on relentless return. 4. Maya Angelou. Before becoming a renowned poet, Angelou faced childhood trauma, homelessness, and silence. She wrote, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." Her decision to speak again, to show up with her voice, transformed literature forever. 5. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Before becoming WTO Director General, Okonjo-Iweala encountered resistance and threats while fighting against corruption in Nigeria. Yet, she continued to show up with facts, dignity, and unwavering vision. Each of these leaders returned after disappointment. They did not wait for the perfect conditions or seek permission to believe again. They rose again. And so can you. How do we move from good intentions to consistent action? The answer lies in rituals. These don't have to be grand or complicated routines. Instead, they should be simple sacred practices that connect us to our purpose daily, weekly, or seasonally. Let's explore some rituals that will help you keep showing up even when motivation wanes. 1. The morning anchor. Start your day with intention. This could be a short prayer, journaling 3 sentences, listening to a meaningful song, a 5-minute walk in silence. This practice is not about productivity, it's about presence. Before the world demands your attention, take a moment to touch your soul. 2. The evening debrief. Close the day with a reflection. Ask yourself, what did I do well? What drained me? What do I want to release? You can do this mentally or write it down in a notebook. Permit yourself to let the day go. 3. The weekly reset. Choose one day, Sunday, Friday, or Saturday, to review your commitments, reorganize your energy, reconnect with those who uplift you. This rhythm prevents drift, so you won't wake up one day wondering where your time or life went. 4. The courage commitment. Once a week, do something that scares you a little. Consider publishing that post, sending that application, asking that question, showing up where fear usually silences you. You build courage through practice, not perfection. 5. The presence practice. Make it a habit to show up fully wherever you are. If you're with your child, be present with them. If you're writing, focus fully. If you're praying, connect deeply. Multitasking often serves as avoidance disguised as productivity. Your real power lies in your presence. These rituals serve as your support system, helping you stay grounded when challenges arise. It's not just about what happens when you show up, it's about who you become because you show up. Every act of consistency quietly shapes your identity, refines your voice, and deepens your resilience. Let's discuss 5 transformations that occur when you make showing up a way of life. 1. From imposter to integrated leader. Inconsistency breeds self-doubt. Each time you show up imperfectly and honestly, you send a message to your brain. I'm the kind of person who follows through. Over time, you begin to believe this, and others will start to trust it as well. 2. From dreamer to builder. Everyone has ideas. However, those who consistently show up turn dreams into drafts, drafts into dialogue, and dialogue into tangible impact. The world needs less inspiration and more implementation. You become a builder when you stop waiting for clarity and start acting with courage. 3. From passive to present. Practicing presence over performance allows you to awaken to life. You start to listen better, discern more effectively, and make decisions based on peace rather than pressure. Presence is magnetic, it makes you memorable. 4. From scarcity to legacy. Consistency cultivates trust, and trust invites opportunity. Suddenly, doors begin to open, not because you're famous, but because you're visible and reliable. You won't need to hustle for every introduction. People will say, I've seen your work, I trust your name. That's how a legacy begins. 5. From reaction to rhythm. Life transitions from reacting to crises to living with conviction. You won't wait to feel ready. Instead, you'll trust your rhythm and act with purpose. Over time, people will start to say, there's something steady about you. That steadiness is the fruit of consistently showing up. Let's conclude with a reflection and a challenge for you. Grab your journal or take 5 minutes to sit quietly with these prompts. What areas of your life are calling you to show up more fully? Is it your creative pursuits? Your family? Your leadership? Where have you been showing up without giving yourself credit? What moments of resilience have you overlooked as normal or insignificant? What is one routine you can start this week to honor your growth? It doesn't have to be perfect, just something you can repeat consistently for the next 7 days. Choose one area that matters deeply to you, your health, your writing, your spiritual practice, or your learning. 2. Dedicate just 15 minutes every single day to that area. 3. No perfection is required and no public announcements are necessary. It's just you and your routine. At the end of the 7 days, reflect on this question. What changed, not in my surroundings, but within me, when I chose to show up? If you'd like to share your reflections, tag me at Ikechukwu Okoh on LinkedIn or use the hashtag Fireplace Conversations. Let's continue to build a community of steady dreamers, builders who rise, fall, and rise again. Next week's episode is The Hidden Cost of Comparison, a discussion on how to reclaim your unique rhythm in a noisy world. Until then, keep showing up. Your consistency is sacred, your presence is powerful, and your passion still has work to do. It's power. And your fire still has work to do. If this episode moved you, share it with one builder, one dreamer, and one doubter. Let's spread the fire.